Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sports Lowdown with Brad Swanson and Lee Knapp. Right here on channel 98.9 FM. We are here every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. And Lee, you were not here last week, so I kind of plugged away and limped through it, and we got through the show. But over the weekend, you were a busy guy on Saturday.
Yeah, Brad, I went to a swim meet. It's the Invitational, Iroquois Invitational. It's the 37th annual Invitational. I remember going many, many years ago when my son was swimming. It's a real good prep for the district meet for the boys. As you know, the girls had their meet the week before the Invitational in Northeast. And the girls did fairly well there, considering they only had probably 6 or 7 girls go. So you got to have the depth in order to do well at these invitational meets. Corry had the Iroquois meet, like I said, on Saturday, the 37th annual Coaches Association meet. And Corry did well. They went up with 9 boys and scored third overall out of, I believe there was 12 teams there. And they ended up third.
That's good.
Yeah, so Titusville won it overall with 310 points, and Fairview, who I predicted would be very dominant, in everything this year, ended up second. And they only had 270 points, so there's a 40-point difference, which is quite a bit. Because I'm not exactly sure how the scoring goes. But I figured Fairview would dominate it. And I was surprised to see they ended up second. Corry ended up third with 124 points, so there was quite a span between 124 and 270. But like I said, Corry had 9 boys, and I'll bet you Fairview and Titusville went up there with 15 boys plus.
Wow. So
Corry did very well. They were 18 points ahead of Oil City, who ended up 4th place. So, I don't believe we came away with any champions, any first place finishes. I know Ben Good had a couple of second place finishes. The relay was, I believe, 3rd place. They may have got second place in the 200 freestyle relay. I believe they did. And they ended up 3rd place, I know, in the 400 freestyle relay, which is well, because these are probably the same teams that they'll be swimming against at districts at the end of the season. So this gives them a real good eye on what they have to do to move up, because at districts it's the 1st and 2nd place swimmers that move on. If you get 3rd place, sorry for your luck, unfortunately.
Wow.
So they're going to have to place well in order to move on at districts. So this gives them an idea, like I say, how hard they're going to have to work.
Now, they go from districts right to states, right?
Correct, yes. Yes, they'll have districts the last weekend in February. And I believe states is the 2nd weekend in March down at Bucknell.
Wow.
So
nice.
They did well. Swimming is, like I say, they're back in action. They didn't have a meet on Monday night because of the holiday. They're back in action again on tomorrow night against General McLean right down here at the YMCA. So General McLean's going to come in pretty tough. They've got quite a few swimmers on their team. So, and what's going to hurt big time is they come in with 6 divers, and Corry has 2, and they're both girls. So the boys could have a hard time with this meet coming up Thursday night.
It sounds like it. And McLean is always tough. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing against General McLean.
Right.
You're in for a matchup, and actually the Beaver boys had a game on Tuesday night with McLean. So and our girls play against them as well. So a familiar foe.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good meet on Thursday night, tomorrow night.
Well, the basketball team took one on the chin last Friday night, and they needed to win that one to secure the first half region, lead. But they let one slip away against the Warren Dragons, and they're still in a really good spot, though. The boys basketball team is playing very well. They lost one to Harbor Creek that they shouldn't have, and then again against Warren, that's a game that they could win. So the way the basketball schedules are worked out, they play everybody home once and away once. Right. So they'll be playing those teams again, and hopefully they'll avenge their losses and maybe even have a clean sweep in the second half in all their region games. That. Right. And the girls, I talked to Coach Sisson just the other day, and she's very positive and upbeat. Our girls have only won one game, that was in the Christmas tournament, but the girls are getting more competitive as they go along, and some of the teams they're playing, it's just, we talked about that before. You wonder why they're on the schedule with them, but and that I would say the same thing if Corry was, our basketball team had to play Prep and McDowell. I mean, that's not right to be playing against them, but she is very upbeat about the program. I talked to her about the feeder program they call Biddy basketball for little girls, and so they just have a great thing going on, and the little ones love it because the varsity girls basketball team, varsity and JV girls, are down there officiating, and I'm not sure, they may be coaching as well. So they're a big part of the itty bitty basketball. So those little girls look up to those big girls that they get to go down to the high school and watch play. So
right, I think it's great though that they get involved like that, because, like you say, these itty bitty girls are looking up to them. They say, "Oh, we're going to get to do that when we get up to that age group," and it gives them something to look forward to. So I think that helps out a lot. Right.
Now, we've been trying to encourage high school football players, and I know that it's very tough for high school kids to be practicing, preparing, and getting ready for their games of their own, and still try to pop by a practice for little ones and
help them out.
Yeah, just to inspire them a little bit. I know it's tough, but if there's anybody out there listening, it doesn't matter what sport you play. If you are a high school student athlete and you have the opportunity to stop by a youth practice of the sport that you play in,
and help them out.
Yeah, stop by and tell the kids, give them a little quick pep talk before practice or at the end of their practice, or just stop by and let them know that you're cheering them on, and you wouldn't believe what that
makes
will
a big
do for
difference.
Kids. And that also helps kids to stay dedicated to a sport and stay with the sport.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So if you're listening out there and you're a high school student athlete, give that a shot. It'll do you good. You'll feel a lot better about doing it too when you see those little eyes that are staring at you and big smiles on their faces that that you put on there because you're at their event.
Yep, definitely helps.
I like the flag football league. They have high school kids to go down there and ref the games and stuff too. So that helps out as well. It's fun to watch, and I'm sure that down at the Y, the little ones are seeing the bigger kids quite often down there, whether it's just in the building or not. But
sometimes you've got certain swimmers that are lifeguards that'll come in and guard while they're practicing and stuff like that, so they do get to see some of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, a lot of them are once they get done with practice, they go home, and it's unfortunate. Like you say, it's hard. I mean, their schoolwork comes first, and they get done practice and they got to go home and do homework or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of kids that try to get down there for the Y team.
Good. And now the Y team, you can swim up until you're a senior in high school for the Y as well, right?
Correct. In the senior division.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kids who swim high school that also swim Y.
Good.
And a lot of them, mainly, they do it. They got to swim so many meets a year in order to go to postseason. And I can remember back when my kids were swimming, postseason is so much fun. You know, you get to go down there and swim with the best.
Right.
And I'm sure wrestling's the same way. You know, postseason, you get to go to wrestle the best. And basketball's the same way. Everybody looks forward to postseason.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. You know, a couple of weeks ago we were laughing, and you were picking on your great nephew, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Micah Knapp, for being a basketball player.
Yeah,
you know, his last name Knapp, and he's not in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
But here's something that's kind of funny as well. Now you have another great nephew on your wife's side.
Yeah.
That's swimming.
It's swimming.
And that's Landon Weiss.
Yep.
So,
they swam Saturday. So.
Landon, and also there's a couple other football players. Well,
Nate Lesher.
yeah, Nate actually swam last year as well, right?
Yeah, he's swam.
He's a swimmer anyway.
He
right?
swam as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He and his brother Zach both did.
Right.
And then also you have Logan Harrington out for the swim team.
They all swam a relay.
Nice.
I remember seeing them swim when I was officiating that meet, and I was actually kind of surprised that they made the trip. But all the boys on the team made the trip.
Good.
So.
And that's good too. That's a unity thing. You know, you really need that, and that's good bonding for all those kids. And if nothing else, I tell you what, that the relay team that did so well there, they're being cheered on very hard by those other kids.
I didn't mention this, but they had prelims in the morning. They started at 9:30, but with the weather the way it was, they moved it up to 10 o'clock. They had a couple buses going to a ditch. So nobody got hurt, and everybody made it to the meet, so that was a good thing. So.
Yeah.
But they moved it to 10 o'clock, and we were done by 1:30, and you had to place in the top 12 in order to swim in the afternoon. They had prelims in the morning and then finals in the afternoon with 2 heats. 6 in each heat, so you had to make the top 12. And a lot of these kids, first-year swimmers, it's hard to make the top 12. So they were there in the afternoon for finals, cheering on the swimmers that did make it, which was, like we were talking earlier, good unity. Mm-hmm. I mean, it gives them something to shoot for next year.
Right. Well, you're seeing, obviously, these guys, once they figure it out, they're athletic kids.
Oh yeah,
so they're gonna really give their buddies and their teammates a push too, and make them work harder and strive to do better and better themselves. And that's what it's all about. Even like we talked about girls basketball, boys basketball, same thing. You have these younger kids that are coming up and that are starting to really get the hang of things. Now they're pushing the older classmates.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Brad. It's every sport.
Right.
It's every sport.
We're seeing it big time in wrestling this year, too. We're seeing some kids really turning it on.
You're going to see it in football. You're going to see it in every sport. All of a sudden, there's somebody there that's pushing these guys that are used to playing every day. And now there's somebody coming in, and they got to be careful, and they're going to have to work harder in order to keep that position.
Yep, make them earn it. Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
I agree.
That's how you get better. That's how your program gets better.
I agree.
And it's fun to watch. That wrestling team picked up another team tournament title 2 weeks ago now, almost 2 weeks ago, up in Fredonia. They won that tournament, and and there it is once again. Depth. You talked about it in swimming, and depth in wrestling is a key too, because if you don't take first or second place, you still wrestle as hard as you can to try to place in the top 8. Usually that's how that goes. If you ever saw the end of a wrestling tournament and they have the podium up there, there are 8 spots, just like in swimming.
Swimming, there's 6.
Swimming, there's 6 of them?
Yeah, there's 6 in swimming.
Okay.
Usually it's the top 6.
So there's 8 in wrestling. Same situation, though.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can finish in those top 8, you're gaining more points for your team.
Right.
So a few tournaments now, you're able to enter more than one person. You get, I believe, 2 entries at different weights. So say you have 2 170-pound guys, you can enter both those guys, and it's possible for both those guys to place and give you points that way as well.
Okay.
So one thing that's really nice is that we're seeing every match that Corry wrestles, we have 14 kids out there representing the 14 weights. So we're not forfeiting.
That's a big thing in that sport.
Right. And you've seen it over the last 10 years how terrible it got at a certain point where you go to a wrestling match and there was always going to be 4 forfeits, whether it be 2 and 2 from each school or 3 from one side and 1 from another.
Well, it's funny you said that because I was looking at the paper a while back, Brad, and I believe it was Union City. I'm not sure who they wrestled. And they went in there and there was like 6 forfeits.
Youngsville, I believe it was. Yeah.
And that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes a quick match. But that's bad. I mean, you need more people in depth.
Yeah, and it's very hard on those kids that are out there working.
Yeah.
Working really, really hard in the wrestling room to better themselves, and it's tough for them because they're not really getting the competition level that they need or the push that we just talked about from underclassmen.
That's very true. And like we've talked before, Brad, is there's certain sports, every sport is a team aspect. But there's also other sports that's individual aspects. Wrestling, you can lose, the team can lose every match, but you can still move on to the postseason. Swimming is the same way. It's more of an individual sport also to get the team scores.
Right.
It's not like football and basketball where you've got to have the rest of the team in order to move on.
Right. Baseball, softball.
Yeah, there are certain sports. I mean, you get into the track season.
Track and cross country.
Cross country.
Yeah.
They're both the same way. The team can lose every match or every game, but the individuals are gonna move on.
Right. You could send 10 kids to state tournament.
As hard as that is to grasp.
Right.
But, sometimes I don't agree with it.
Right.
But that's the way it goes.
Well, I tell you, you talk about different sports like that. We're going to take a commercial break here in a second, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how the classifications have changed since we were in school.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, and how things just come around and switch around, change. We mentioned wrestling having 14 divisions. There's a change coming there, and we'll talk about that after these messages. Welcome back to the Sports Lowdown. Brad Swanson and Lee Knapp bringing you the Sports Lowdown as we do every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. right here on Channel 98.9 FM. Lee, we were talking about all of our winter sports, and when we went to break, I said we would talk about the changes in the class or in the weight categories for next year for wrestling. They're going to move those again. Now, when we were in school, it was 98 pounds started the match. There were 12 weight classes that ended at heavyweight. And I don't think you could weigh over 275. I think that was the ultimate
for the heavyweight.
Highest weight, yes, for heavyweight. So then, of course, they added 2 weight classes. But 106 pounds is where the kids are now. But next year, they're going to bump that to 110, and they're going to take 2 more classes out again. So there's going to be 12, and they're doing that because there are so many schools still that forfeit matches. So I understand, I guess, the the changes
The
and
theory
the need
behind it.
Right. But here's my question, and if this is the reason, I understand this fully too. Why wouldn't they go back to the old classification where they had the 98 pounder clear up to the heavy or unlimited? Unless they're looking at it as there were too many kids trying to deplete themselves from food and nutrition
Trying to
to
lose
stay
weight.
at 98 pounds, where 110 might not be as dangerous.
Right.
I'm not sure. If that's the case, they have my blessing on that one.
Yeah.
And I understand that completely and fully. Now you're going to see that weight class get forfeited a few times, though, too, I think. Or you're going to see some undersized freshmen wrestling 110 pounds and only weighing 100 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, so they don't forfeit.
But, and I'm sure there's a minimum. You do have to weigh so much. And that's the way it is right now. You have to weigh, I believe, 96 or 95 or something like that to wrestle the 106. You have to be within
6 or 7 pounds, or
10 pounds anyway.
yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but like I say, I understand switching things around like that. For one thing too is that I think that you'll see better crowds at the wrestling matches because they're not forfeiting all these matches.
Right.
But some people just refuse to go anymore. Oh, they're wrestling this team. They're going to forfeit 4 matches. Nah, I'll just And we have the luxury here in Corry of being able to find some media outlet of some sort to be able to sit at home and even if it's later in the evening and you just go online and look up scores,
Right.
you can find out.
them. Right.
So, and then of course you wait till the next day and read it in the Corry Journal.
Right.
So, I like to go down and watch if I can. I like to go watch the kids play basketball and wrestle and that. If I'm available to do it, that doesn't happen very often. But, we try to when we can, and whether I'm there or not, I'm supporting all of our local athletes.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're all doing well.
Yeah, and we're very. We've talked about it a lot of times. We're very lucky to have such a great group of coaches at the school to coach our kids, and hats off to all those people. And there's a lot of individuals that volunteer coach at different sports too, and that's really saying something. That's
right. Oh yeah,
having a love for the sport and for the kids, and
yeah, we got a couple of them in swimming.
Great, and you need that. It's always nice to have extra hands.
Yeah.
Many hands make less work, is an old saying.
Well,
I believe that.
Everybody looks at things a little bit different. You might get on the same problem 2 or 3 different answers. And then you can pick which one works better for you. So
Right.
It always helps out.
Well, we saw that firsthand last fall when we saw an elderly gentleman standing on the sidelines for a Corry football
Yep.
team. And we're not saying that you're too old, but Coach Clark came back and helped out as a volunteer coach with the varsity football program. And I tell you what, if you need an answer,
He's got
one. Yeah.
Yep.
He's been around it for a long, long time, 30 plus years, and they had to figure it out the one year. He, Coach Wilson, and Coach Ross were still coaching together. Between the 3 of them, there were well over 100 years of coaching experience. Crazy. So it's always nice to have people like that around. Coach Roden has done just a tremendous job in helping out with the track and field program.
Right.
And, he got some...
He's been around for quite a few years.
Yes. And knows his stuff very well. He's helped a lot of athletes. He's helped a lot of athletes work their way to college to be able to participate in track and field. And he's also been very instrumental in youth track and field to get that program going. So, it's nice to have people like that in our community.
Sure it is.
That come out and help out and give back to the community.
Right. And it's something that they really enjoy, or they wouldn't do it.
Right.
So they enjoy seeing the youngsters excel in their particular sport.
Right. Yep.
So,
we're already now into the second half of our winter sports season. That's hard to believe.
right. I was seeing that the other day that the everything's about halfway.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, it goes by very, very fast. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the 29th, the Sharon duels take place. Is that? Maybe I'm wrong. The Sharon duels are this weekend coming up. So that'll be the 26th, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So the well, I think I can find that real quick. Maybe they probably don't have that updated just yet, but somewhere the Corry will be in competition this weekend at the Sharon Duels. The team duels, that's where I was getting the 29th of January. The District 10 team duels start on Wednesday, January 29th. So that's right around the corner. I mean, that's a week from today. So, and that's where the top two teams move on to the state tournament. And, Corey's looking to finally get a chance to move on and actually make it into the state tournament as a team. They have a shot. They're going to come up against Reynolds, and that's no fun for anybody in the whole state. So that'll be a tough one for them. But I think that they'll be very competitive with everybody else and have a good chance to at least get the number 2 seed if they don't knock off Reynolds, and that'll send them on into the state competition, which would be great.
That'd be great.
That's a feather in the cap to the program there.
Yes, it is.
Coach Mark Muncie and his staff have done an outstanding job. There's another sport, wrestling, that has a lot of volunteer coaches in it. There's a lot of guys that help out with the program. So they're very lucky. They have a gentleman who's, I always say the sport of swimming is synonymous with the name Knapp, and sport of wrestling is synonymous with the name Harrington. Here in Corry. And Larry Harrington still is helping coach.
Oh, yeah?
And I tell you, it's like having Dan Clark out there on the football field, having Larry Harrington in the wrestling room, because there's not too many things you can ask him that he can't answer about that sport.
Yeah,
so.
He's been around a while. Yeah. That's for sure.
And, and the swim team's lucky, too. They have guys like yourself, Jack McIntyre around that officiate, and if Coach Gerald has a question to ask, I'm sure he feels confident and comfortable in asking you two guys about it.
Yeah, we've been out of it for a while, but we could find the answer if we don't have it.
Right.
So.
Well, it's always fun to think about how lucky we are, looking at all these people that are around here being able to help the kids out. And like I said, we're very fortunate with the coaches that we have in place. Hopefully they're looking through the big window and not the small window as to where they're going to go tomorrow or whatever. I want to see all of them looking at long range coaching here.
Right.
That's what we need. And it doesn't seem like you see it quite as much as you used to in the past, when you had coaches that were around for 10 years.
Right.
At a crack. It doesn't seem like coaches are hanging in for that long. But hopefully these coaches that are here at Corry High School will stay
for a while. That's right.
And keep our programs going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they will. I think most of them will. I mean, most of them are younger coaches, that have a while before they can retire or whatever. And I agree. Hopefully they stick with it and I know when I was coaching, it's very time consuming. It does take time away from family and stuff like that. It is very, you've done it with rec, football. It's very time consuming.
It is.
And no matter what you do, in some parents' eyes, is the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're never gonna be right for everybody.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is the biggest drawback of coaching is unfortunately sometimes it's parents. And this is all my opinion, of course. But everybody thinks that their kid is better than everybody else, which is natural.
Mm-hmm.
That's natural.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what makes coaches get out of it quicker. I really do.
Well, it's very difficult to coach in a community our size. Even it's hard to coach and and have to listen to. Well, you're playing him because of his name,
right?
Well, I'm here to tell you, when I coach a team, the kids are earning their spot. And if you say, well, this kid, I've seen you coach, and this kid was better than this kid, you need to come to practice.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to come to my practice. Because if there's a child that you think is better, then if he's not on that field, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Maybe talent-wise, he might be a better talented player, but maybe attitude and work ethic in practice might not be as good as the kid that's out there playing.
You're right.
And if that kid's out working him in practice and paying attention, he's on the field.
You're right.
I don't worry about wins and losses. And people might think, and why are you coaching? Well, I'm there to teach the basic fundamentals because at the level I coach at, that's what needs to be done.
What needs to be done.
That's my opinion. They need to learn, first and foremost, we keep them safe. We teach them the safe way of doing things, and then try to teach them the basic fundamentals. And once they learn those, then they're getting it.
Yeah.
They can worry about wins and losses at 7th and 8th grade and up. But at our level, of course, like I always tell the parents in our meetings that we have prior to the start, we don't worry about wins and losses, but I'm not going to teach your child how to lose. I'm not there to do that.
Yeah.
I'm a competitive person, or I wouldn't coach.
That's right.
It's a tricky thing to coach. And youth sports, and you've coached the youth level too.
Yep.
You know as well as I do, youth sports can get real ugly.
Yes, it can.
And every sport, it's just a matter of people just not thinking before they speak.
Yeah, they only see one side. They see their side basically because they don't, like you say, they don't go to practices. They don't know how hard this young fella or young lady works in practice. They may do well in a game, but in practice they're kind of a downer. That happens. Mm-hmm. And they don't see that. And if they saw that, a lot of them would understand. Right.
Well, and you nailed it earlier, and I better reiterate that the views and opinions on this show are exactly that. They're Lee's and my views and opinions, and we're just, we air them out there and express them. And, if you have any comments, feel free to contact us and let us know. Go on our website. Brian Silvas has a nice website for our station, Channel 98.9. It's Channel 989, www.channel989.org. That's www.channel989.org. Go on, check it out, and I believe there's a spot there for comments. And if there's more stuff that you'd like to hear, or you have any views and opinions on any of the shows that Lee and I do, please let us know. And if you have constructive criticism, we can take it. And if you have some stuff that you think that we hit on too much or not enough, or you'd like to hear a little bit more, comment. Let us know. We're glad to have you listening That's the first and
Yes, we are.
foremost part.
Yes, we
is
are.
To get you to listen to our show. And we're going to be going full bore here right through the entire year here. So not just through the high school year, but throughout the year itself. So 2020, we are here for the entirety. Every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. right here on Channel 98.9 FM. Lee, any closing thoughts?
No, I wish all these teams, like as every week we talk about, Brad, I wish them all the best of luck and try hard, and you will be rewarded eventually.
Yep. And if you feel that you're not quite there, not where you want to be, push a little harder.
A little harder. That's right.
Work hard and push each other. And the bottom line is, though, it's got to be fun for you. Have fun out there.
Sure, you got to have fun. In any sport, if you're not having fun, you'll get that when you get out of school and get a job. Then it won't be fun. Then you can say that. But and while you're in high school, enjoy it, because it goes fast.
Sure does. All right. Well, for Lee Knapp, this is Brad Swanson saying continue to listen to Channel 98.9 FM. Keep the radio dial tuned right here. And
Go Beavers.